Okay, now it's time to start doing our cabbage. And so I've already got five slices of, or five, yeah, 5 slices of bacon that I've cut into about 1 inch pieces here. So I have my pot going already. Turned it on. It's that large cast iron um, pot that I have. I'm going to go ahead and put these slices of bacon in there. We're going to use the grease from the bacon to cook the cabbage in as well. So that's going to be cooking right there. I'm going to put the lid on it so it'll cook a little bit faster. I have some peppers, some yellow, red. I think this one was orange. Little peppers, small mini peppers that we're just going to cut up. We're going to use these in our cabbage as well. This is just going to give us some more flavor added to our cabbage. I think I want to get a different knife. Don't like the way this knife is cutting. So I would use this guy. And so cutting up the these peppers, they're gonna shrink down when they cook as well. So the size of them isn't all that important. You do kind of want to keep them around the same size as each other. That helps for easier and smoother cooking of those. They do have little seeds inside. What I tend to do is I just cut them up first. As you cut them into these pieces, a lot of the seeds just come out of them anyway. So if not, I'll just pull them out after the fact. Like this one here, that's got all the seeds in it. So that's an easy one to pull out. Get that out of there. So that makes it easier. Sometimes I'll cut them and then I'll cut out the seeds when I cut the top off of them and then go from there. Start the knife on one of these. Okay, then our cabbage, we're going to use a whole head of cabbage. We're going to use half of an onion. And I believe here we had 6 of these mini peppers that we're using. And as I said, once these cook, they're going to shrink down, so you don't have to worry about everything being exactly the same size. Trying not to cut my fingers. These little guys. Okay, then on our onion, just going to cut this guy in half. I'm going to use the onion for something else today as well. Peel all the skin off. The back end off of the onion. So, getting the skin, and I always like to take this first layer of skin off as well because it tends to be pretty coarse. So not just the brown, but then the other layer that's underneath. On the onion, just going to cut it up. It's going to cook down as well. So I'm not looking for any perfect size or pieces on this. If you don't like onion, it's still not going to be that once it cooks down, you're not going to really notice the onion in there. I don't really like raw onion, so definitely I like to cook my onion when I put them in there. Okay, then checking my bacon. Bacon is okay. It's doing well. The bacon is going to give us some good flavor in our cabbage. Let me get a bowl here. Sorry, I'm back. So let me get this bowl. I'll put our peppers and onion. And here's another pepper with a bunch of seeds in it. Take those out. And these cook. I made these a couple weeks ago. Same thing with the cabbage. Use a whole head of cabbage. It's going to cook down, but it really does go a long way. The peppers gave it some good flavor. The bacon as well. I am going to season it with just salt and pepper. I will probably use, not probably, I'm going to use granulated garlic in there as well, instead of cutting up the garlic this time. Just taking a little shortcut. Okay, and then onion in here as well. Okay. Then it's going to be time for us to cut our cabbage. Cutting the cabbage. Different methods or different ways that people do it. We are going to want to get the core of that cabbage out of there. Okay, wipe this down. Okay, so with our cabbage, sometimes the piece on this cabbage sticks out a little bit. This is pretty flat, so it sits down nice and flat. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut right down the middle of this cabbage. Okay, so we have our two halves. As you can see here in the cabbage, this right here is our core. And that part we don't want to use or cook in there. So what we're going to do is just take your knife and basically you're just going to cut the shape of that core, which is kind of like a V shape. Do it on both sides. Sorry. Both sides right there. Cut it. And we should be able to pop that core out. That's part of the core. So that's pretty good. The core is gone. Going to do the same thing on the other one. When we get to this other one, we're doing the same method here. We're going to cut down on this other side here as well. So we got our little V shape here for this core. And let me come over here. Sorry about that. Worked perfect on the first one. Okay, second one here. Gotta make that connection there. Okay, there's our core. So I had to go across here, cut it this way, and then so we have our shape. Okay, so now on our cabbage from here, just cut it in half. Cut the half in half. And then just kind of depends on what you want. Some people are shredded. Some people will shred. Just depends on what you want. I'm not doing shreds. We're going to have pieces. So just going to cut this. Depending on what your cabbage looks like, a lot of times, and I should have done this before, is to remove that outer layer of the cabbage. And some people don't like to use the yellow part on the inside. But here on this one, you'll see there's a lot of yellow in there. So if we only use the green, we're not going to have a lot of cabbage. We will use the yellow. It'll cook down. It's all going to taste good. It's going to be nice and seasoned. Okay. So, cutting up my cabbage. Got the other half to go here. And we will be in business. I hear my, okay. So, this one I cut in half. And now I'm just going to cut back across this way. That particular cabbage. Okay, so now I got my cabbage ready to go. We got the onions and peppers ready. The bacon is cooking. All of this is just going to go in there together. Here, let me show you. We got our bacon going here. Can you see? Where's the bacon? Here. That's not good. Here's our cabbage and our peppers. And we'll be back in a second. Okay, here's where we are at with our bacon. As I said, this was really 5 slices of bacon. So we have it going. You can see it's starting to burn a little bit in the middle. So I'm moving the bacon off to the side. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to add our onion and our peppers that we cooked up. Put these guys in here now. Let them cook with them. Nice stir on this. We're going to add a little bit of salt. We're going to add the salt right now, just a little bit. We'll do our granulated garlic. Put a little bit of that in there. And then we're going to go with some ground black pepper. You can hear that sizzle. That's very good. That going. Okay, so we're going to let the onions sweat down a little bit. The peppers will cook a little bit as well. The bacon's going to get a little bit more done. And then we'll add our cabbage, a little bit of beef broth to this as well. And then it's going to cook and be done. Okay, we are back. And these guys are cooking good. Put my spoon too far away. Okay, so now this smells really good. I think I've told you guys before, if you just cook some onion and garlic, it's going to smell good and people are going to think you're really doing something. I am really doing something, and this really does smell good as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start dropping in some cabbage. And as I drop the cabbage in, try and get it broke up a little bit. It's going to break up in the cooking process as well. And what I'm going to do, after I put that layer in, I'm going to sprinkle in some more of our granulated garlic. Okay, so that layer gets some flavor. A little bit more ground pepper. And remember, the pepper is up to you, how hot you want to do it. Sprinkle in a little bit more salt. I'm not going to do too much salt because the bacon already has salt content in it as well. Okay, so now adding the rest of the cabbage. Once that's done, I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of beef broth. And you can use chicken, you can use beef, you can do vegetable. Beef is what I had open, so I'm just going to use the beef broth. And then also kind of depending on what you're going to cook it with. I am having chicken with this, so I should use chicken broth, but it's all good. This is still going to be good flavor. So here's a 1/2 cup of the beef broth. You can hear that. Okay, so all this is in. We're going to let it sit. It's going to start cooking down. We'll check on it in about 10 or 15 minutes and then see how we're doing. And then we'll see what our progress is. Alright, I lost a little bit of track of time there. It's been closer to 25 minutes, but everything is cooking nicely. You stir this, it smells good. It smells like cabbage. Depending on how you like yours, if you want some crunch on it, I would say now would be a good time to stop. But this is good. I want mine cooked a lot more than this. So I think I'm about halfway through the process of cooking. So I'm going to let it go another 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and stir it again, taste it, see how we're doing as far as seasonings and stuff are concerned. See what we need to do, any adjustments we need to make. But so far, this is moving along nicely. Alrighty, so we are 45 minutes into the process. It is cooking and boiling rather vigorously right now. Lots of steam coming. The cabbage is going to produce some moisture as well. So just be careful when you're putting in the chicken broth, how much you add in there, because you could overdo it. Then you're basically boiling the cabbage. So I'm going to get a little taste here. See what we got going on. Just tasting the cabbage by itself. One little piece. Tastes good. It's a little more crunchy than what I want it to be. So what I'm going to do right now, I am going to add a little bit more of our granulated garlic. You could use regular whole garlic and do that. That's what I normally do, but took some shortcuts today. Going to add a little bit of salt. And no, Mom, it's not too much salt. I haven't put too much in here. Okay. She's always making sure to check us on our health. And a little bit more pepper. This is good. I've heard of some people putting sugar in their cabbage. I'm not down for that, to take away the bitter taste of it. But I think if you cook it, you season it, you add the peppers in it, it gives it a good, nice flavor. I am not one for sugar in cabbage or grits. Sugar is for sweet stuff, baking. Okay, I'm going to turn this down to a low, and I'm just going to let this simmer for like another 15 minutes, and we're good.